I'm afraid this is the second night I'm going to have to leave my camera off. Please forgive me, but we're going to have to do it this way tonight again. But let that not be a distraction, please. I want us to hear what God is saying tonight as we talk, as we discuss, this is one of the ways to learn, as we talk together and we discuss together. God is going to download things into our spirit, and he can use each and every one of us. So please be open to sharing, to asking questions, just being a part of what we are doing. This is Live Right Ministries. We are the Live Right family. That's for those who may be here for the very first time, and we welcome you. And we say that, as long as you're here, you're part of the family, and we would want to invite you to be back again. Now, we have been looking at a topic for a very long time. Who am I? And we are looking now at the love, because we are made in the likeness of God, the image and likeness, and we're looking at what God is like. And one of the things that God is God is love. God is love. And before I forget, I just want to say a very special welcome to Mama tonight. She's on. I had a chance to just chat with her a bit this evening before we came on. And I know she's listening. Mama, God bless you. God bless you. I love you. We all love you. And it's good to know that you're here with us. Okay, so we want to continue. Last time we were asking some questions. I don't want to spend too much time on this tonight, but I just want to get some feedback from you, maybe for the first just maybe 10 minutes or so, to ask the question. Last night we looked at the question, do men put pressure on women to look beautiful? And we had some comments on that. And then I asked the question, do women put pressure on men to be successful? In other words, do women prefer a man who is successful over looking good or good looking? And I would just like to hear a bit from you concerning that before we move on. There are some other questions, but we're going to leave them for another time. But this one, I want to just get a bit of feedback from you. And the question is again, do women put pressure on men to be successful? In other words, I'm not going to give you the time of day. I'm not going to respond to you unless I know you have a good job, you're making money, maybe you have a good house. You could put me in house, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not really interested in you unless you can do those things. And I also want to hear from you men, because do you think men feel pressured into, I don't know, finding a good job, maybe having a good bank account, saving up some money, or being in a position where they can take care of a woman? Do you think that is on the forefront of men's mind because women don't really pay them, give them the time of day, unless of course you could show that you have something? So I just want to discuss that for a few minutes before we move on. So let's hear from you. Let's hear from you straight away. Talk to me, somebody. Talk to me, somebody. Do women put pressure on men to be successful? To be successful? Anyone? Anyone? What do you think? Maybe you didn't do it, but maybe you feel that's what women do.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Richards, I'm seeing Judy said some women do, and we have Joshua and Debbie's hand is up.
Go right ahead. In that order, Joshua, go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Richards, I think that some of them do, not all of them. There are some women that they say that they're not talking to you, they will ignore you, they want nothing to do with you unless you're making a certain amount of figures, or have a particular job, or have a particular car, or have a particular house kind of thing. There are some women that do that, but there are some who do not put pressure. Like they obviously the man has to have a job, but some women don't really bother with the fact that the man doesn't have a job. They're just glad that that he is good to them. So if he has a job that it is not really a high paying job, Some women are fine with that as long as he's making money. And some of them, they need a particular amount of money, so they're not paying attention to you. So yes, there are some women who do it, but not all.
Thank you, Joshua. Sister Debbie? Joshua, just make sure they can unmute.
Right, and now we're going to say I can't unmute tonight to the family. Professor, I have an answer question, right? You know that kind of way now, right?
Answer question.
Yeah, answer question. So I was in a relationship and thing, and you said putting pressure, right? So I didn't see it as putting pressure, but you'll answer the question now after I don't tell you. So I say encourage the gentleman, go I go and look for a little work, nice and not putting no pressure on the man, right? But encouraging the man thing, because you want to see, you want to motivate, that's some kind of some of us women, we want to want to see the gentleman reach far too now, bring up themselves, achieve something in life. So, we will mention certain things to them, go down here at a job, seek it out, and these things now. So I will take the resume and I will drop it in because of my job, we open to the contractors and things now, so I will drop it out on them thing. And someone I say, well, here, what, you're not going and check the person? You're not going on the road? He's like, oh gosh, cut for some slack now. I say, okay. He said nothing. You understand? So he started to get heated and stuff now. So every day I come and say, so what happened? Here he said and tell me, oh, it was that Debbie where is the highway. The man take the highway and gone. So is that putting pressure on the man, Professor?
No, but if you're encouraging someone to better themselves, to do something better for themselves, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. That's noble. What I'm talking about is some women, unless you have a particular status, you make a certain amount of money, they're not gonna be interested in you at all. For example, my question is, if you meet someone and you have a good rapport with them and things are going fine, and you're really attracted to the person and things are above board, you're going out with the person, and you really like this person and you're seeing yourself maybe with a future in this person, and then you find out that this person is a garbage collector. What do you do? How would a woman feel, if that happens? Is that important? Is his job important? Is what he does important to you? And do you have a particular standard that, listen, you know what, I can't be seen with somebody like this? I mean, it's okay all the time when you didn't know, but now that you know, doesn't matter what other people think. And that's why I talk about putting pressure for men to be successful, because a man may be a garbage collector, he may be whatever it is, working, one of these places, maybe people look down on people who work CPEP and things like that. And, for you, it's okay, it's a job and you're doing a job and you're very good at what you do. But the other person, they may not see what you do. They may not want to be associated with you because of that. And that's the question I'm asking. Is what somebody does, and I'm talking particularly to women now, is what the man does, how much he makes, is that important enough for you to say, listen, if you have this job, I don't really want much to do with you. If you're not making a certain amount of money, I don't want to have anything to do with you. If you don't have a house, you don't have an apartment, you don't have a place to put me, then I don't really want to have to do anything to do with you. And that's the pressure I'm talking about. Do women put pressure on men to be successful before they give them a time of day? So I might see somebody, I'm single, I see somebody, I'm interested in her, but I have to make sure that, I have a good job, a good paying job. If I don't have a good paying job, I have to look for a second job, that kind of thing before I can approach her. And this is what I'm talking about. Do women make men feel that way? And that's what I mean by pressure. Do women make men feel you must be working for a certain amount, you must be doing a particular kind of job, or you can't be doing a particular type of job if you want to have anything to do with me? And that's the question that I'm asking tonight. So we still have a few more minutes. Anybody else?
Yes, Dr. Richard. We have
Elder Sherry hand is up, and also Elder Mary. Someone says in the chat, no, it doesn't matter to me as long as he's a provider. A relationship is supposed to be both parties making ends meet. Galaxy 812 says yes. And Debbie says, not me. It does not matter because $5 can be million. Sherry and then Mary.
Good evening, family. You know,
Good
Dr.
evening.
Richards is a give and take, because I believe that a lot of women, they look, despite what a man may do, they look for ambition. So you may start off probably, as you say, being a garbage collector or what we might consider to be a mediocre job, but you see a person with drive and passion, and so they would not have had the best start in life, but they have a vision to go somewhere. And so if they have the right person behind them, that person could drive them. And when I say drive, not in a harsh way, but give them that incentive or that support, to go at another level. And I can reference a very prominent lawyer who is a relative of my former roommate. And she's a lawyer. She's well accomplished and she has reached high in her status. But her husband was a regular mechanic. She, being a lawyer and having association with many other lawyers and judges and etc., would have helped him to establish himself, so that at this point in time, maybe if you try to get your card there, you wouldn't get in because of who he sees now, his clientele now, so I think it's a give and take, if it depends on how much you care about the person. If you see something in the person, because in order for you to know if you care about them, you have to be willing to give them a chance, and if you see something of value, and you can know that by time, if this person have a real drive, if this person have any ambition, a vision for the future. Because even if you're looking for a wife and you're holding a mediocre job, how much can you be a provider? So you may give consideration to all that thing and have a desire to do more. She may just as well be satisfied with you if she is in a stable position, in a financially stable position, where she feels she can support the family. And we see tables turning now, where women are carrying the brunt of the load because they are more accomplished and they're okay with that. So I think it could be either way. It depends on the individual.
Thank you, Elder Sherry. Elder Mary?
Yes, good night. But Dr. Richards, I remember when my scenario, my children's father, when we were much younger, and he couldn't get a job. We were together. I was working at the Bank Republic, and he couldn't get a job. The only job he could have gotten at the time, because he was an electrician, but not a licensed electrician. So you know how that goes, come like PGs, and he got a job with City Council as a garbage collector. And I remember his mother, who used to give me the pressure she did not want me to speak, and that is her son, eh? She didn't want me to speak to him in the street. If I have on my bank uniform and the day we were going to lunch, she and I, and right by Woodford Square, he passing down on the truck that's on Frederick Street, and he hailed out to me. So I hail out to him and I say, how you going? And she pulled me and tell me, don't ever speak to that boy. I said, but that is your son. No, not when you're on a garbage truck and he doing that dirty work and you have on your good bank uniform and you speaking to him in the road. And I told her, but nothing is wrong with that. And he continued. I encouraged him to study. And after he finished work and so on, I finished work on an evening, we will go by the savannah and I will help him with his work, because I was more intelligent than him at that time, with the work. And afterwards he became a qualified licensed electrician. So, it's what ambition the person have, but I never pressured him. And I think this is one of the things that he appreciated with me, because no matter where, and he heard me out, I will stop and speak with him, no matter what people think, because I know him. I know why he's doing that job. And it's better he do that than to thief. Don't you agree? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder Mary. I'm so glad, both of you shared what you shared, because of the fact that we tend to judge people where they are at. And we look down on them because of their status, not understanding that you don't judge a person where they are at all. If that was so, then we wouldn't be anywhere, because, as sinners, Christ looked at us and said, like, they need a savior, and he came down to earth to be among us. And this is, we need to understand, that's what love is about. Love is seeing past, wherever the person is, to see where they could be. And, we have to understand that God brings us together with people. Sometimes, we think it's only for them to help us, but it's sometimes for us to help them, for us to be, a source of strength and encouragement and love to them. And that's what love is about, That's what love is about. And, we're going to get further into what love is as we go along this journey. But, I asked that question because there are people, and they've said it openly, I don't want to have anything to do with you if you are not of a particular status, if you have not a particular hair texture, hair skin color, etc., etc. If you don't have a particular job or particular type job. And we tend to do that. We discriminate based on so many different things, and that is so wrong. That is so, so wrong. So I just wanted us to touch on that tonight. We're going to come back to it in some form a little later on, because I want to have some more discussion on that. We're going to talk about discrimination and prejudice. The Bible talks about those things. And we're going to be talking about that a little later on. But we want to move on tonight.
Dr. Richards, before you go, and I just wanted to read just a couple comments that was in the chat. And Adrian said, I will say yes, but I really wouldn't call it pressure if it is only to encourage him to be a better version of himself for all involved. But on the other hand, if the encouragement is for status, then it is for all the wrong reasons. Vala says, yes, Pastor, I know of a couple like that. The woman makes more money and she's always embarrassing him about his job. And then Diana said relationship is half-half. Relationship is half-half to make things easy for both parties. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Well, again, we're going to come back to that last statement about relationship being half-half. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. It's not about half-half. It's about whole. 1 multiplied by 1 will give you 1. You have to be whole. You have to put out 100%, and the person has to put out 100%. And there's something called synergy. But we're going to talk about that as we go along, because too often we think that it's half-half, and it doesn't work so at all. And that is the cause of a lot of breakup, a lot of stress in marriages. Sometimes, if you look at it that way, sometimes it's 80-20, 75-25. At different times, there's a different configuration. Yeah. If we think about putting half-half all the time, what is going to happen when one is not able to put 50%? You're going to decide, I'm not going to go up further than 50%. That's all I'm going to give half. And that is what causes a breakdown in many marriages. But again, as I said, we're going to come to that. I want us to move on and get to the fact that we've been talking about love and what love is. And we talk about basically about being in love. But that is just a little, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, concerning love. We talked about the fact that we use this word love to mean so many different things. We love our spouse, we love our children, we love our car, we love our jobs, we love certain things to eat. We love. And use this word, one word, love, for that feeling that we feel for different things. Now, the Greeks and the Jews didn't have those issues in their expression of love, because they had several words to love. So when they used those words, it meant different things. We use this one word, like I was thinking today, that we use the word sing, To mean so different, so many different things. The thing, remember the thing that we do the thing with no, the thing, and we use this word thing, not thing, a thing. We use this word thing to mean some. In fact, if we can't remember a word, we use the word thing. And that is how we use love sometimes. We use love to mean so many different things. But the Jews and the Greeks, they didn't have that particular problem because the word love meant different things to them. They had different words. While we use one word love, they had different words. And we're going to look at some of those words today, some of them found in the Bible and some of them found among the population. And so the first one we're going to look at this evening is a word that we all, I am sure most of us are familiar with. That word called agape. Agape. Could anybody tell me what is the meaning of agape? Because I'm sure you've heard that word. In fact, there's a church called agape. What does agape mean as far as you know? Anybody? Anybody?
Good night. The love of God.
The love of
God's
God.
love.
God's love. Okay. Anybody else?
Dr. Richards, Bernadette says godly love, and Elder Sherry hand is up.
Mm-hmm.
It's unconditional love.
Unconditional love. So some people say
Also
God's
have,
love.
Cindy said brotherly love.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamie says the highest form of love.
All right.
Judy
Okay.
said God is love.
Okay. And you know, that's what I'm hearing some people talking about godly love and the highest form of love and that sort of thing. And that is what we have been told. But agape means selfless love, or as Elder Sherry says, unconditional love. It's not just godly love or love by God, because humans can show agape love and God shows agape love. The word agape means selfless love. And agape is the noun. Agapao, agapeo is the verb. In other words, agape is love and agapeo means to love. All right? It's a love that is given without expectation of receiving anything in return. It's selfless. It's when you give love, you remember we always encourage you to do something for somebody who can't do anything for you. Well, that's what we're talking about. A love that doesn't benefit you, it benefits the person that you love. It's a selfless love for others. Of course, it also includes love for God, but it's also love for people, including people who are less fortunate than yourself. And it doesn't depend on whether you know the person or not. It's an unselfish, genuine concern for the welfare of others. That's what agape love is. It's a love that doesn't expect anything in return. It's a love that you just give without looking back to receive. That's what agape love is. That's what, when you agapao, and I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, if it's agapao or agapeo, but I'm going to say agapeo. That's what it means. So when you agapeo, you are loving somebody selflessly. Selflessly. Leviticus 19:18 has that love in it. Leviticus 19:18, and I know Joshua would have put some verses in the chat. Whoever selected that verse, could you read that verse for us, please? Agapeo. Agapeo, Leviticus 19:18. Did anybody get that verse?
Sister Paula.
Make sure they can unmute.
Good night, Pastor Richards. What's
Leviticus 19:18.
Pastor Richards had now come up on the boat and now return back home. So if you would give me a chance to get it, I will, because I'm listening.
Okay.
Will you give me a chance?
All right, Joshua, I know some people, you put it in last time, some people took it, you should have put it back in tonight because yeah, Leviticus 19:18. Those names that you have, Joshua, would have been people who selected it last night.
Richard, I can read it for you quickly.
I'm getting it, Sister Pastor. Pastor, I'm getting it.
Okay. 1918.
1918.
Okay, go ahead. I know you want to read it, but go ahead.
Yeah.
So Joshua, okay, before you hold on. Joshua, I needed to put those things back in the chat for me. If you haven't, I can't see the chat, and let people, because I don't know people would have remembered from last night if they chose it.
It's in the chat, Dr. Richards. It's in the chat.
Okay, great. Leviticus 19:18.
I'm reading from the King James Version, Pastor. Thou shalt not, because I know you don't like it. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord.
Right. Thou shalt agapeo your neighbor. Thou shalt have selfless love for your neighbor. That's what God is saying. Don't take vengeance. Don't bear any grudge. Love your neighbor with the agape love. That selfless, unconditional love. That is the instruction that he gave. Love your neighbor. Agape your neighbor. Agapeo, sorry, your neighbor. Have agape love for your neighbor, right? As yourself. That's what he said. Deuteronomy 6, verses 4 and 5. Deuteronomy 6, 4 and 5.
Sister Gina.
Okay, the people who chose it, please be ready to read. Deuteronomy 6, 4 and 5. Okay, what's happening?
Dr. Richards, I'm reading it for you. Deuteronomy 6, 4 to 5. Hear,
Yes.
O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength.
Okay, and that love is agapeo again. Yo, Israel, this is called the Shema. This is what they used to repeat. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. You shall agapeo the Lord your God. So in one instant, you're supposed to agapeo your neighbor as yourself. Now you're supposed to agapeo the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your strength. So this word agapeo is an unconditional, selfless love that you're supposed to have towards your neighbor, and you're supposed to have towards your God. Right now, in the New Testament, it's also used. Let's look at John 17, verses 24 to 26. John 17, 24 to 26. Who chose that one?
Good evening, everyone.
Aye.
John 17, 24 to 26. I am reading from the Contemporary English Version. Father, I want everyone you have given me to be with me wherever I am. Then they will see the glory that you have given me, because you loved me before the world was created. Good Father, the people of this world don't know you, but I know you, and my followers know that you sent me. I told them what you are like, and I will tell them even more. Then the love that you have for me will become part of them, and I will be one with them.
Thank you. This is the same agapeo, all right, or agape. He's saying, Father, I know you have loved me. So we see God demonstrating the agape love. He said, you have agapeo me before the foundation of the world, all right, and I've declared your name and will declare that the agape in which you love me, or the agape in which you have agapeoed me, may be in them as I am in and I in them. So this agape and agapeo is something that is even demonstrated by God himself, not just us towards God and us towards our neighbor, but God towards his son, the Father towards Jesus, use the word agapeo or agape. The love is agape and agapeo is the verb. The noun is agape and the verb is agapeo. Then John 3:16, we don't even have to look for that. All right,
For
John
God so loved
3:16.
the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him whoever believes in him should not perish but have an everlasting life. Sorry.
Thank you, Jonathan. For God so agapeo the world. So we see God loving not just the Son, but the world with an agape love, a selfless love. For God so agapeo the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Romans 5:8.
Mrs. R.
I don't
Dr.
have Romans 5:8. I have John 20:1 and 2.
Okay, I'll read Romans 5:8, Dr. Richards. But God demonstrates his own love towards us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us.
Thank you. But God demonstrated his own agape towards us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Remember, agape is an unconditional love. And we are supposed to have it towards God, and we are supposed to have it towards our neighbor. And now we see God had it towards his son, and he has it towards the whole world, the human race. All right. Now, God also told us how we should love one another. We should agape or agapeo one another. John 13, verses 34 and 35. This is something that we quote almost every day. Go ahead. Who has
Margaret?
Good night, everyone. A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another.
All right. So here it's translated. Thank you. A new commandment that I give to you, that you agapeo one another as I have agapeo you, that you also agapeo one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples if you have agape for one another. That's how it's translated. So even as these things are written, specific words for love is being used in these instances. So we are supposed to have agape love for one another. For one another, not just our neighbor, but for one another, believers, Christian. That's the kind of love, a selfless, unconditional love. Do we love one another that way? Or is our love conditional? Is our love, if you do me good, I will do you good. If you love me, I will love you back. Is it that? If that is it, then that's not agape love. We are supposed to agapeo one another, have a selfless, unconditional love. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. This is a love that we ought to have. This is a love that we have been instructed, because Jesus says, a new commandment I give to you, that you're supposed to agapeo one another. That's the love. So when we say, I love you, we should be thinking about that. When we tell one another, I love you, we should be thinking, not just I love you because your name is so-and-so, I love you because you're an elder, I love you because you're this. No, I love you with an unconditional love. I want us to have that in mind now when we say, I love you to one another. And if we can't say that, if we don't really feel that, then don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it until you really mean it. Until you know that when I say to you, Sister Debbie, I love you, that love I'm talking about is that unconditional love. You don't have to do anything. Even if you get me vexed, I still love you. It's not conditional on whether or not you treat me right or you do something good for me. That agape love is what I have for you. And this is what we are commanded to have for one another. Let's look at 1 Thessalonians 3:11-13.
Now may our God and Father himself and our Lord Jesus Christ direct our way to you. And may the Lord make you increase and abound in love to one another and to all, just as we do to you, so that he may establish your hearts blameless in holiness before our God and Father at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ with all his saints.
Hallelujah. So what does it say? It says that he was saying, Paul was saying to the Thessalonians, may God make you increase and abound in agape. May your agape increase to one another and also to all. So in other words, it's not just we loving one another. We are supposed to have an unconditional love for all. That's what we are called. That's what God has instructed us to do, to have an unconditional love, a deep and constant love towards one another, because we are all, created by God. It's a reverential love towards God and a practical love towards one another. What do I mean by that? It's a love that you do. We'll come to that. Love is not just saying I love you. It must be demonstrated. So when we are saying I love you to one another, I want you to keep in mind, we are talking about agape, that unconditional love. I don't want us to just think of love as love or some kind of mushy feeling. It's a love that extends beyond whatever the person would have done to you. Okay, so that's agape and agapeo. Let me pause here for a second. Any questions, any comments concerning that? And just remembering, agape love, people think agape is the love of God. No, it's not just the love of God. It's a love that we are supposed to have for one another as well. We are supposed to have it towards God, towards a neighbor, towards each other, and towards all. No question, no comments? Okay, let's move on quickly. Let's see if we could cover just one more. There's another love that is in the scripture. It's called philia. Philia is the noun, and phileo is the verb. Philia is the noun, and phileo is the verb. In other words, philia is love. So we talk about the type of love. But phileo is how we do it. It's a tender, affectionate, friendly love. It's a tender, affectionate, friendly love. It's a love that friends have for one another. It's a love without any sort of romantic attachment or attraction. It's a love between friends, your good partner, your BFF, that kind of love. It's a kind of love that is characterized by loyalty and trust. You have somebody that you get along well with, you lime together, you trust each other, it's your prayer partner, it's your good friend. There's a deep bond between you and that person, that kind of love. That's philia. And when you love like that, that's phileo. It happens when two people share the same values and they have respect for one another. It's what is referred to as brotherly love. Brotherly love. It's an encouraging kind of affectionate kind of love that makes true friendship. That's what philia is. True friendship. It's meaningful, it's sweet, it's the kind of love where you just want the best for the other person, the other person want the best for you. There's no kind of romantic attraction. I'm in love with you and you're in love with me, and sweaty palms and racing heart. It's nothing like that. It's a love that you have for somebody that you just connect with this person. You all shared, you all just share a bond that other people may not even understand. How many of us have that kind of love, that philia? We only have a few more minutes, but I want to ask that question. Have you ever experienced that? Do you experience that? Do you know that? Do you have that kind of love or with someone? Remember, it's not a romantic love, but it's a love that connects you together. Anybody? Talk to me. Anybody here? You're sleeping? First Lady?
Dr. Richards, yes. We have Mitzi says, yes, I do. And Dr. Richards, I want to answer. Ella Sherry also says, okay, all right. Yes, Dr. Richards, I have someone like that in my life right now.
Mm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the
Okay.
question, right, Doc?
Yes. And for those of you who didn't hear it, we're talking about philia, that brotherly love, that connection, that friend that you have, that, you know, sometimes something wrong and you don't even have to explain to them what is wrong. You know, they're just there for you. Or sometimes something's wrong with them and you don't have to even give them a solution to the problem. You just have to be there. That kind of connection. Sometimes you just want to hear the person's voice. Again, it's not a love thing. It's not being in love. It's just that, hey, listen, this person understands me and they're just there for me. Or I'm just there for them. That's what we're talking about. A brotherly kind of friendship kind of love.
Yes, Dr. Richards.
Yes,
Dr. Richards, I have someone like that in my life.
Mhm.
Yes, and well, you know that as well. Margaret says, unfortunately, I don't. Bernadette says, yes, I do.
Okay. Anyone else before we wrap up tonight?
Alcatel says, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Karine says, yes, I do. Mrs. R said, yes, I do. So
Okay.
Viola said, yes, I have someone like that in my life. Adrian says, yes. Davia says, yes. Auntie Gail says, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Paulette says, yes, I do.
Okay, wonderful and great. And it's good to have somebody like that in your life. It's good to have that kind of connection. And the thing about philia is not just one person. I just talked about that person that you can connect with, but you know, it's a kind of love that you can have with several people. That brotherly love, that I am there for you kind of love, that love that says, listen, you know, you don't have to be somebody. You could be yourself with me. It's that kind of love is important. That kind of love is important. And we're going to continue talking about that tomorrow evenings, God's willing, when we come back. And we're going to look at some instances in the scripture that talks about that kind of love. So tonight we looked at agape and agapeo, and philia and filial. We started talking about philia and filio. Those are two types of love that is found in the scriptures. And you see, and because we don't have that kind of distinction in terms of English, that's why sometimes we get confused. That's why sometimes when we telling somebody, I filio you, they're thinking that we're talking about something else. And people get confused, and there's all sort of problems and issues with each other because we just use the word love. If we had different expression, then we would be able to say exactly how we feel, and people would not misread us and misinterpret us and misunderstand us when we say, I love you. So we're going to continue talking about that tomorrow evening, about this thing called love. Okay, I'm now looking at Ella Sherry and Philip. Oh, somebody raised their hand. Yes, Ella Sherry, quickly.
I just have a joke for the family. Dr. Richards, I was armed with my wine and bread for communion tonight.
Really? You are a day ahead. You are you are a day ahead, Elder Sherry. All right. And could you wait till the rest of us catch up with you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Communion is tomorrow night, people. The first Thursday. Tomorrow is the 1st of June. And communion is tomorrow night. Thank you, Elder Sherry, for that little chuckle. Appreciate it. First Lady, back over to you.